and welcome to Across Africa. I'm Georgia Calvin-Smith with our weekly look at stories from across the continent. Coming up in the programme, protests and impatience. Even as the Nigerian government hopes that the worst of its economic woes may be over, on the ground frustration is growing as inflation hikes continue to hit business hard. Also, after months of tensions in Cameroon's English-speaking regions, students are sitting their end-of-year exams in fear and under heavy police surveillance. And we revisit the Cappuccino bar, which is finally reopening its doors a year and a half after the terrorist raid in Ouagadougou, which left dozens dead. But first, Nigeria's economy is currently mired in recession. The negative growth that began at the start of last year has been driven by a drop in foreign revenue caused by falling oil prices. Whilst the government's hoping the country's turned a corner, many Nigerians say they're already worried their jobs won't survive the effects of inflation.
Harrison Akadidi books celebrities for high-profile events. Last August, Nigeria entered a recession, and since then, he's gone from 20 bookings a month to 7.
A lot of people can't actually afford, to book these celebrities like they used to 2015 backwards. For organizations like us, where we get to pay our own bills in dollars, it's just incredible for us because that way all the bills just goes up for us.
He's not the only one facing difficulties. Recently, protesters took to the streets of Lagos to denounce a sputtering economy and an inflation rate at 17%. Nigeria is a major oil producer, but low oil prices on world markets led to the recession and created a shortage of dollars.
I'm an ordinary Nigerian. I'm an oppressed Nigerian. I'm a frustrated Nigerian because the system is not working. At some point, we must ask ourselves that what has caused us to be in this present state.
President Muhammadu Buhari has been on medical leave in Britain since May. It's his second prolonged absence this year.
The absence of Mr. President has worsened the situation because Nigeria is in recession. You needed an activist president that is day by day working, looking at monetary policy, looking at fiscal policy.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo signed the 2017 budget into law last week. He hopes record spending will bring Nigeria out of the recession.
An investigation's underway in Cameroon into the death of the Bishop of Bafia. Although at first it looked like he'd committed suicide, other clergymen and many of his congregation believe that he was assassinated. Our correspondents report.
Sealed off by the police since Bishop Jean-Marie Benoit disappeared on May 31st, it's as though time has stopped inside the office and private apartment where the Bishop of Bafia lodged, 120 kilometres from Yaoundé, the capital of Cameroon. Like worshippers of this parish, the former Vicar General doesn't believe it's a suicide case.
The bishop with whom I had dinner before he disappeared didn't come across as someone who was overwhelmed by some kind of angst, to the point of throwing himself into the water.
I'm in the water, read the mysterious note found in the bishop's car parked on this bridge and discovered late last month. 2 days later, his body was found washed up in this village a few kilometres away.
We're here in the village called Chang. A Malian fisherman found the bishop's body behind this island. He went to the authorities to declare that he had found a body.
For the country's bishops, this is one death too many. In the last 20 years, several Catholic priests have died in suspicious circumstances, crimes that have never been solved. The bishops want light to be shed on what they say is another murder.
Because of the way in which the body was lying in the water, we know that the body was thrown into the water and that the bishop didn't drown. When there is an assassination, a suspicious death, as the forensic scientists have called it, the government must search for the truth. If they don't do anything, we can ask other authorities.
As the drama unfolds, the story continues to make headlines in the local press. The results of the investigation are highly anticipated, but authorities have given no indication when their findings into the disappearance will be made public.
Students are sitting their end-of-year exams in fear and under police surveillance in Cameroon's 2 English-speaking regions. A general stay-at-home strike has paralysed parts of the south and northwest of the country for more than 7 months. Protesters accuse the government of marginalising Anglophones in the largely French-speaking country. Our correspondents have the story.
Filmed from afar, armed police can be seen stationed at the entrance of the school. It's the first time an exam centre's had such heavy police presence in Bamenda. The city's at the centre of protests launched last November by residents who say Anglophone regions are being politically and economically marginalised. Students coming to sit their final end-of-year school exam are trying to keep a low profile after protesters called to boycott the GCE. Some decided to leave their school uniforms at home.
I stopped wearing my uniform because I'm afraid of the political and social harassment that I can have. I don't want to be a person that people look with a bad eye and say you are not with us, you are against us.
Afraid of reprisals, students hide their faces while speaking to us for fear of being recognised and threatened. At this establishment, 600 students were supposed to sit the geography exam this morning, but 40% didn't show up. A situation representative of the current political tension in the country. Even teachers are afraid to speak freely on camera in this English-speaking region.
The atmosphere is very tensed. Everybody's afraid. Out of my life of writing the GC and my years of experience as a teacher, I've never seen policemen on campus when they're writing.
Across the English-speaking regions, home to the country's Anglophone minority, tensions are running high. They denounce their marginalisation by Francophones. A few kilometres away, the head of this examination centre has low expectations for this year's results.
Given the situation in which we are, a good number of parents have preferred to keep their students home because they are not quite sure about the security situation. So the numbers this year are definitely lower than last year. Students have missed classes for more than 6 months. The basic truth about it is that the results this year do not give one the real feeling of studies that have been effectively undertaken.
Students will be able to breathe a sigh of relief when exams end later this month. Meanwhile, political tensions in Cameroon's troubled English-speaking region show no sign of relenting.
Some of the estimated 1,000 children who fled fighting in Ivory Coast for neighbouring Liberia 6 years ago have started returning to their families. But the homecoming can be a heartbreaking experience as the returnees are taken from their foster parents in Liberia to go back to lives they barely remember.
Emotions run high as 10-year-old Solomon and 6-year-old Estelle prepare to leave their caretaker family in Liberia. These children are leaving their guardians in Ban refugee camp to be reunited with their father in the Ivory Coast. It's a heartbreaking time for both the children and their caretaker parents.
Today my heart is hurting, to tell you the truth. I'm not feeling good at all. Because I love these children.
Over 1,000 children were separated from their parents as they fled the post-election violence in Ivory Coast in 2010 and 2011. The International Committee of the Red Cross has tried to locate these children's families, reuniting them if both sides agree.
Whenever there's a conflict, the issue of separation is always there. And because it's there, the International Committee of the Red Cross, as part of its mandate, identify children, document them, trace them, when necessary, carry out family reunification. 5
children are taking a journey back to the Ivory Coast, crossing the border with single-use Red Cross travel documents. Finally, they are reunited with their families in Golelo and Ureli in western Ivory Coast to a mixture of tears and joy.
When there was an attack here, I told my wife to take the children and go ahead of me to Liberia. After I crossed, I started looking for them. I searched in almost all the refugee camps, but I didn't find them. I was told that they had returned to Côte d'Ivoire. When I came back here, they were nowhere. It was when the Red Cross arrived with pictures of children that I recognized mine.
Now back home, these children will settle into an old life that neither can remember, getting to know their family after 6 years of separation.
A year and a half after a terrorist raid on a bar and hotel in Ouagadougou left dozens dead, the city is still in the process of moving on from the bloodshed. The Cappuccino bar, which was at the heart of the attacks, has finally reopened its doors.
It's a busy night on Ouagadougou's Kwame Nkrumah Avenue. In front of the Cappuccino, security guards meticulously screen customers. The restaurant has just reopened, a year and a half after it was targeted by a deadly terrorist attack. A symbolic show of resilience in the face of growing extremism in the region.
You're never really 100% safe anywhere in the world, but here I think we're really safe in terms of the various security measures that have been taken.
On January 15, 2016, the Cappuccino and the Splendid Hotel across the street were attacked by Al-Qaeda militants. The killing spree lasted 7 hours and left 32 people dead. Emmanuel Nikiema was a waiter at the restaurant. He still remembers the sounds of gunshots as he hid in the bathroom with another 40 people. But today he's decided to put the trauma behind him and to go back to work.
If I was afraid, I wouldn't have come back to work here. There's no fear in my heart, nothing. Death can come no matter where you are.
With the Splendid Hotel and the nearby Taxi Bruce bar having both resumed activities last year, the Cappuccino's reopening has fueled hopes that the capital is secure once more and has breathed new life into one of Ouagadougou's busiest avenues.
Well, that's it for Across Africa this week. Thanks very much for joining us. Do so again. Take care.